the beginning of this, we've wanted to get the video out. It's been our intention. But we do have to respect the investigative and the ongoing legal process. So this was the first opportunity that we felt it was appropriate to be able to release the video and talk about the incident. So that's why we're here today. I also want to say that the officers involved in this unfortunate incident were put in a very difficult position. And we value all life. It's unfortunate when anyone is injured, but the person's actions on that day left the officers with no choice but to defend themselves. The officers were faced with an unprovoked, deadly physical force incident. They performed professionally under very difficult circumstances. This department fully backs the actions that they took on that day, and we're proud of how they performed. So we're here to talk about the incident that happened on July 12th of this year. The officers were dispatched to a residence in the 4800 block of Bailey Avenue for a domestic disturbance. As they were responding to the incident, they were made aware that the male subject, 26-year-old Raquel Grant, had 2 active warrants. The first officers on scene were Lieutenant Matthew Labuglio and Officer Aiden Vangeloff. Here's a brief timeline of the incident of that evening. The first officers were on scene within 3 minutes from the time they were dispatched. They attempted to make contact with Mr. Grant by yelling into the residence for him. Very shortly thereafter, Mr. Grant exits the rear window of the residence armed with 2 knives, and he charges at Officer Vangeloff. Within 2 seconds, Officer Vangeloff is on the ground and has been stabbed. Lieutenant Labuglio, who's at the side of the residence, hears the commotion in the backyard and starts to head that way. And that's a view from his body camera. As you can see, Officer Vangeloff is on the ground. He's already been stabbed. Lieutenant Labuglio pulls out his taser. You see that in his hand here, and he activates it. If you look closely, you can actually see one of the lead wires from the taser towards the subject. Simultaneously to Lieutenant Labuglio using the taser, Officer Vangeloff kicks the subject, and he kicks him backwards. And you see he loses his balance. Mr. Grant regains his feet. He does not retreat. He does not drop the knives, and he assumes an aggressive stance, as you can see there. Both officers then transition to their firearms, and they use them to stop the threat of imminent deadly force against them. From the time that Mr. Grant left the window of the house to the time that we used force against him was 6 seconds. Immediately upon stopping the threat, the officers initiated efforts to render first aid to Mr. Grant. An ambulance was requested. Officers retrieved medical kits. They began performing first aid on him within a minute of this incident. So this is these are the first aid kits that we keep in all of the cars. Every car has one. They have tourniquets. They have chest seals. They have quick clot, gauze, bandages, and these are all the things that were used. Well, they didn't use they may have used a tourniquet as well, but they used most of these things on Mr. Grant.
Can you just repeat that part about the 6 seconds?
From the time that Mr. Grant left the window of the residence and the end of the incident when the officers used force was 6 seconds. Came out of a window, yes. And these are the 2 knives that were recovered at the scene that Mr. Grant had in his hands.
He had 2 knives in his
2 knives, one in each hand. One in each hand, yes.
One a knife in each hand.
Yes, one in each hand. And now, unless there's questions about the incident itself, we'll show the video. Good? Okay. The audio won't kick on for a few seconds. That's the way the system's set up. So the camera that you're looking at now, I believe, is Lieutenant Labuglio. And this is one of the complainants. Like I said, we were called there for a domestic. And that's Officer Vangeloff coming up. The suspect we've dealt with before, or Mr. Grant, we've dealt with before, and he often runs out the back of the house. So the officers were checking to make sure he hadn't left the back of the house. That was not the case, so that they reassessed. Is the audio working? I apologize for the snafu here. Can we pull it forward so it's where we left off? Maybe just as Aiden's walking up. There you go.
They did? Yeah. They're on the backside, like stick up on it. You want to watch the back? I don't know. Trying to, right? It's 22. We're on location. He's believed to be inside the premise. We did hear a noise when we first got on location. Don't know if he ran out the back yet or not. I just put patrol free watch on the rear of the residence and watch the car like way more before we do anything else. And this is the subject I was thinking about. He likes to run and hide. And when you get a chance, can you turn the possible left too? Thank you.
When he talks about F2, that's a warrant check. So he's asking to verify that there's warrants.
Go search go check the rear with Aiden. Like the backyard. Yeah, there's like a shed, there's a shed in the garage. Yeah, I think that's the complainant. Oh, no, this would be the victim. Yeah, go back to the Aiden, I'm actually gonna fucking run out. I know. Okay, is he threatening to do anything with you? Okay. Okay. All right, stay on the back. I'm gonna open the door and call out. Watch out, man. Just pick up.
So watch the one on the right, I guess.
Rick, it's Amherst Police. Shots fired, Rick. Suspect down. We're going to. Don't go towards those knives. Get that med kit, John. Stay on coverage. You got a med kit? All right. Next officer, we need a med kit in the back. Are you okay, Ian? Hey, gloves on. Give me a chest seal on there. He's got a bullet hole on the side there. I'll hand you guys stuff. I'm not seeing. What other chest seals? You got it? You see it? All right. Yeah, you're gonna have to do a seal. Sweep. Yep. Get it on that side. Yeah. You good? Well, we check it out. Hold on.
All right, I'll go on to answer questions. If you want to look at it again, we can run through from the time that the incident, I know it was fairly fast. We can run that quick again if you want.
Could we ask you to first say and spell your name and your title, just so we have that?
Sure. It's Chief Scott Chamberlain, Chamberlin, of the Amherst Police Department.
Can you give us the timeline, like what time the call came in, what time you arrived, and then,
Can you, Chris, can you squirt it back, slide it back to the timeline? That has it all on there.
Someone did ask me, I can run through the slides again.
Can you go back one or two so I can get the names of the officers as well?
Mhm.
And did we have a correct spelling of the suspect?
It's on the first slide, or
Oh,
the second
that's
slide.
the other one I did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You just show the officers' names again.
and what was Mr. Grant, wanted for? What was the warrant for?
It was a parole violation. I don't know exactly what that was, and there was another warrant with several charges on it. It was a criminal contempt first. I think it was a stolen vehicle. I think there's another felony in there, a couple petty larcenies. But it was a felony warrant.
And this was a domestic call? Or
Yes, that's what it was. It was called in as a domestic call. Yes.
Can you elaborate more on?
There had been an incident there. I guess they were arguing about something, and one of the relatives, I think, of the victim called and asked us to come out to try to mediate it, and it never got to that point, obviously.
Was there like a temporary restraining order or anything like
There is an
that?
order of protection in place, but it's a non-offensive order, which means basically he's not barred from being at the residence or around the petitioner. He just can't do anything offensive around that person.
Can you provide an update on officers, condition and up to the suspect as well?
Yeah, Officer Vangelov was treated and released from ECMC shortly after he was injured. He's recovering, and we'll be back to duty as soon as he's recovered.
Where was he stabbed at?
The shoulder and the arm.
Shoulder and arm. So he stabbed twice?
Yes, two.
That was all really, really fast. Even though you warned us it was 6 seconds long, sitting here watching ready for it, I almost missed it all. How does an officer react in 6 seconds when two knives are coming in?
Well, it's their training really kicked in. They did an amazing job in that short period of time. Lieutenant Labuglio used his taser and transitioned to his firearm, and that was within about 4 seconds that all that happened. Officer Vangelov had nowhere to go. He was backed up. If you saw the scene there, he was back. Behind him was a fence. And so he had nowhere to go. You can see in the first slide that he had his hand up to say, hey, back off, kind of defending, trying to defend himself, but he didn't even have a chance to get his gun out in 2 seconds. So he fell back and was able to kick the Mr. Grant away, which I think obviously helped the situation as well. They both performed amazingly. Like you said, it was in a 6 second time period. A lot of things happened. and they both performed very, very well.
Has APD had issues? I know they said they know he usually runs, they're obviously familiar with him. Has APD had issues with him where he's become physically violent?
I don't think we've had anything where he's fought with us in particular. I can't speak to other agencies. I don't know that.
Would you say this would be almost a suicide by cop situation then, if he's had been violent before?
I didn't see, it seemed like he was trying to harm our officers. I don't think he was, I think that was his intent. If you look at the look on his face, I don't think we can question what his intent was.
I have a question as far as the info being released. This happened on Saturday, but it wasn't released to the public until the following week, Monday, late afternoon. Why was that?
Well, we released some information on Saturday night, just a very brief statement. We wanted to get our ducks in a row as far as making sure that we had all the facts correct before we released anything more detailed. And then obviously, like I said, we have to respect the investigative process and legal process before we can do something like this, where we can release video and answer
So you
questions in
said you did
particular.
release something on Saturday night.
We put out just a brief statement that there was an incident and an officer and another person were injured. So we did put something out Saturday night.
What charges is Grant facing?
Any charging questions should be referred to the DA's office.
Has he been charged or not yet?
Any charging questions should be referred to the DA's office.
Is he still at ECMC?
Yes, he's still at ECMC.
And did both officers fire or just the one?
Both officers fired.
But the officer who wasn't stabbed, he was the one who deployed a taser and fired shots at the same time?
Not at the same time. He deployed his taser. He was able to see that there was not a connection with the taser didn't make connection. So then he discarded the taser and transitioned to his firearm.
How many shots were fired? It sounded like.
5 total.
Okay, between the two officers.
Yes.
Any update on the condition of the suspect?
I believe he's in serious condition, last I heard.
He was shot, I know, in the side, anywhere else, or?
I believe he was shot on the side and also in the elbow.
Is it the
Just elbow, yeah.
Did the state AG's office reach out at all? Are they looking into this? I know they tend to.
We reached out to them that night, and they did come out and we're working with them.
No findings from them yet.
No.
Usually they just do fatal, right?
Yes, obviously we didn't know what the outcome was going to be, so we did get them involved, just because that's the process.
Is there any kind of administrative leave going on for the officers, or?
It's very short, just as a course of business. The Officer Vangelov is injured, so he won't come back till he's healed up. And Lieutenant Lobuglio is just out for a short time, and he'll be back to work very shortly.
What does it say about the dangers of a police officer's daily duties? I mean, somebody's never been violent before, they show up, and he runs out with 2 knives.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that we talk about with our officers all the time, that you can't get complacent and you don't know when something like this is going to happen. It could happen in 2 seconds, right? This was a kind of a routine call, and the next thing Officer Vangelov knows, he's on the ground and he's been stabbed. So, yes, it's a dangerous job. We handle 57,000 plus calls per year, every year. And we're a big agency. We have a lot of officers, and these kinds of things are certainly possible. We've been lucky for a very long time that we haven't had one, but it can happen at any time, anywhere.
Just one more time, officers mentioned, or you mentioned as well, that he was the grant was known to the police. In what capacity was that prior knowledge of his interaction with the police department?
I believe we'd been to the house before. I don't know how many times off the top of my head, but we've dealt with him
That's
before.
what the guys knew.
Yes, yeah, they knew that he had run away before, and it's not a new thing for him. So they didn't think he was going to attack anybody at that point. Obviously, they just thought he was going to run away if he did anything.
So he had never attacked officers before.
I can't speak to any other agency. I don't think we've ever had a use of force that we use force against our officers. No, I can't speak to other agencies. I don't know.
SWAT team there at one point.
I believe we did have a call out there because for a domestic situation again, where he would not come out. We did end up getting him out. This was probably about a year ago, if I remember right.
he known to use any narcotics or anything like that, or anything that far in the system?
Not that I'm aware of. I did not look at that. So I could get you that information, but I don't have it right now.
How about in terms of a mental health call along those lines?
I don't have any information regarding that.
You know, what I'm seeing here, I know when you're doing those simulations in the police training, like, I think there is one just like that, where someone just charges at you. I mean, these are things that they try to practice for.
Yes?
I mean, there doesn't seem to be a chance to even de-escalate the situation, right?
No, I mean, as you saw, we'll run through it again. I mean, he was out the window and on the officer within 2 seconds. I think he said the officer maybe got one word out before he was stabbed. There was really no chance for that.
He was, I'm sorry, stabbed in the arm, right?
Shoulder and arm, yes.
Shoulder.
Yeah, Mr. Grant left us no choice in the situation. We weren't able to de-escalate.
Do you have any sense of why this particular incident escalated on Grant's behalf? I mean, again, prior experience with him, and all of a sudden, this one, he's charging at officers and times.
No, I have no idea.
Did the taser have no effect on him, or?
The taser did not make a connection, so that can mean one of two things. It could mean that both probes have to hit the person for there to be a connection. So whether one of them got caught in the pant leg and didn't get enough, we didn't just get enough contact, or one of the probes missed. It's hard to know why. Can't really see it, but all we know is that didn't complete the circuit basically.
When you look at that picture, Chief, knowing that's one of your officers, this guy coming at him with 2 knives, how does that make you feel?
I mean, obviously it's very scary. You know, these are our brothers and sisters, and we care about them deeply. So anytime anybody's in danger, this is a very dangerous job, and we deal with a lot of things. But to see that one of our officers was put in this position is frightening.
You know, a lot of officers will say that domestic calls are potentially the most dangerous for police. Do you agree with that, or is this an illustration of how dangerous they can be?
Yeah, I mean, it's an illustration that they can be dangerous. I think any call can be dangerous. It's really you don't know who you're dealing with ever really, and what's in their heart and what's in their mind. So that's why the officers just need to be on guard and ready at all times.
Is this something that you think your officers will learn from? Will you show this and?
Yeah, I mean, any situation that we have, we try to use it as a learning experience, and I think that's obviously you want excellence, you want to do things well, you have to learn from things, and they performed amazingly in this situation, in a very difficult situation, and other officers can use this as an example of how to perform under stressful situations. And yes, obviously we'll use this and try to make sure that the officers all can see how, just is a very good reminder of how dangerous our job is.
Does this illustrate why it's a good thing for police to wear body cams? I mean, this really shows the public what these officers were dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about body cams in general, and especially in this case?
Yeah, I think body cameras are a good thing. In this case, it showed the professionalism and of our officers and the good job that they did, and I think that's a good thing, and it tells the full story. In this case, doesn't always, but in this case, we got the full story here, and that's important.
How do you say Officer Aiden's last name?
Vangelov?
Vangelov. Okay, thanks.
And can you tell us about those officers, how many years, what, are they partners, are they?
I believe Lieutenant Labuglio has 14 years, and Officer Vangelov has 4 years on the job.
And do they work as partners, or
Lieutenant Labuglio would be the supervisor of the shift, or one of the supervisors on the shift who's supervising that call. And we generally don't work with partners, so the officers work in single-man cars usually. Sometimes we double them up, but He was just at the call because the lieutenant was at the call because he was close by and he wanted to supervise.
And is that kind of standard for like a domestic or, you know, a situation like this?
And we always send at least 2 officers to a domestic because you always want to make sure you have enough people there to handle situations like this.
I know the house address was never initially released, and you don't have to necessarily do this now, but what street did this happen on?
On Bailey Avenue?
On Bailey?
Yep.
If it's helpful, Chief, I can go through the slides if they need to get notes or anything off the slide.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Anybody have any further questions? We're good?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.